Pete.
Why don't we do the introduction again? Let's do formal one because it's an important podcast, very important.
I just want to say I'm sorry, Pete.
We're all sorry.
I'm sorry that we have to do this podcast then after.
Listen, like Luis Enrique said, you have to know how to win and you have to know how to lose. That was one thing that he brought up at the end of the press conference. No, if you noticed, he was applauding the Inter players, Inter staff, because they stayed on to watch the celebration.
I noticed that.
So he was very respectful in that. And I think, obviously, PSG dominated from minute 1 to 90. And you have to just, there's times that you have to just accept it and chapeau, right? And
Chapeau.
Chapeau.
That's a Cassano word.
Like Cassano would
Chapeau.
say. And say that, hey, you were better than us. That's it. There's nothing more to do there.
The only one that I feel really sorry is for Cassano because he's an Inter fan. But knowing Cassano...
Not your best friend?
Yeah, no, but you know what, Pete? I'm sorry. I know you're going through a very... Pete, I'm very sorry. Pete, I'm sorry.
Why are you holding out your hand like that?
No, I'm just... Sorry, man. Hey, look.
Is that a high five?
No, I want to shake his hand.
Wow.
Pete, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, okay? All right.
Okay.
I didn't want to shake my hand. All right. I extended my full hand open like that.
You tried to be a nice guy.
I'm sorry, guys.
Pete, total and utter disappointment. Is there any other way to put it? Because you could lose, and it's okay to lose, but Inter didn't show up. From the first minutes we were watching the game, and we said to ourselves, the amount of time, every player was losing the ball, was not concentrated. It looked like, I said it to you guys, it looked like they were playing Berlusconi Cup. Like there was not a Champions League final.
Don't disrespect Berlusconi.
Berlusconi Cup.
Oh, not
Remember
even the cup. That cup is a lot more important. Okay.
Do you remember that? Do you think that...
Yeah, it was a humiliation.
Is that how you felt?
For me, it's a humiliation because you get to that stage. We've said it all the time. Ultimately, the final, you have to win, right? There's always going to be a winner and a loser, but you have to have the mentality that this is the last time you'll ever play. And we didn't see that.
But it is for a lot of your group. Like this was, in my opinion, it was the last dance for like this group because it's an aging squad, it's an older squad, and it felt like they were always taking the Champions League series for that reason. So how do you even explain it? Because I had no words for what I was even watching.
I think there's a lot of things we can talk about, but ultimately, when a team is, when you have someone that's better in front of you, you can try everything, and if it doesn't work.
Pete, you knocked out Bayern and Barca. You're gonna say that they're scared of PSG?
I don't think they were scared of PSG, but if I'll bring up the point now because I was talking about it earlier. Inter this year has come back once in 90 minutes from a deficit, and
to win a game.
To win a game, and that was versus Monza. They were losing 2-0. They came back and won 3-2. Every other game, we drop points if we went down. Okay? The only other game, and I said in 90 minutes, the only other game that we did come back from a losing score was versus Barcelona. But miraculously, I think there was a lot of momentum. There was
2 moments in the season.
2 moments. But in 90 minutes, only one.
So how do you define that? Like, where are you pointing the finger? Because there's a lot for us to dissect eventually. But if we start at this, how would you dissect it?
No, I think it's just it's how the season, how can I say? Like, I think the fact of the matter is, for us to get to have gotten to the final, is a shock.
100%.
Based on how we performed this year.
100%.
I think player by player, we should have done a lot more on this, in this game. The mentality was wrong. I think the approach to the game was wrong. I think not having a plan B, and we'll get to it, but you can't keep on doing the same thing over and over if PSG's got you solved. You have to be able to change it up. You have to be able to try something different. And I just think they didn't have any answers for that. And I think, ultimately, if you look at this roster, when the reason why I brought up, when we go down, this game was over at 2-0 in the 20th minute.
They had nothing.
Because off the bench, who are you going to bring in? I know people were saying Fratesi, and we'll talk about that. But Fratesi is not a proven goal scorer. He's not somebody who's going to come on and all of a sudden.
But it was disrespectful to not play him.
Okay, but you know what? I think
it's disrespectful.
I agree to a certain extent. And the reason why is because I think Inzaghi was compromised in that forced substitution, which was Bisek.
But no matter what, he puts Aslani in. He doesn't even let Fratesi get any time. The midfield was dead. Mkhitaryan was a ghost. Hakan didn't want the ball. Barella was a disaster. And you can't put on Fratesi, the guy that's solved the game against Bayern Munich, the guy that solved the game against Barcelona.
I think by then, I don't even remember the freaking what point we were on when Aslani got in, but I think it was already 3-4-0.
Yeah.
So ultimately, I think Inzaghi was already done. Okay, he didn't think clearly. I think his mentality is Çalhanoğlu's out. The like-for-like substitution for Çalhanoğlu has always been Aslani, and he probably thought that we need somebody that's going to be able to hold up.
Even
the
if
ball.
you put him up top.
Zelensky.
Even if you put him up top. Thuram and Lautaro, disasters. Thuram lost every ball that he touched. Lautaro was a ghost.
There's no service.
Dumfries.
I told you when we did the
Dumfries was dead.
Di
He was so tired. Di Marco. Forget about Di Marco.
When we spoke about the game, I said this game is going to be decided on the midfield. Okay? And that's exactly where Inter lost. Because unfortunately, Thuram, Lautaro, yes, you can. The whole team.
Can you save one player?
No, you can't.
I don't think there was
can't.
one good player from Inter.
You can't.
Can I dissect it for you very quickly?
Yeah,
Let
where
me
do you
dissect
think it went
for you.
wrong?
Okay, first of all, all the organization. First of all, I apologize for you guys losing. You know how much I want you guys to win, Pete. I'm just was dying.
You don't
for
want to see
guys
the video of
bring
his reaction.
To
Oh, I
bring
know.
the trophy back to Italy, the Champions League means a lot to me. So too bad it didn't
He was
happen.
French yesterday.
No, I was not.
You were French yesterday.
Okay, so let me dissect the game for you. And what happened? You guys take a high pride in getting all of those transfers for free. So you get on the free transfer this, free transfer that, Zalewski, this and that. And you build up a team that on the Serie A might make some sense, might make a lot of sense. But when you go into international competition, the lack of not skills, because the skills are there. You're not going to compete against the speed with a team that is in an average, maybe 10 years older.
So let me ask you a question then. How did they even get to this point? Because they knocked out Bayern Munich. They knocked out Barcelona. They were in the top 8. They did incredible. They conceded one goal throughout the league
The last two things
phase.
that you just mentioned was pure luck to me.
It
On
can't,
the
be,
field,
it can't be luck over 4 games.
Listen to me.
If it was a one-off, I would agree with you.
We are talking about episodes.
But how do you
Okay,
get to the
but
final?
Anto,
How do you get to
all
the
right, so
final
wait, let
if
me-
that's true?
I want him to continue talking, but even if it's luck for you,
You need luck.
okay. But even if it's luck for you, Inter created chances. They created
Yeah.
chances
To score
This
goals.
game, we couldn't even
But
create.
P, I agree with
Good.
you.
Your
That's
first
why-
shot on
for
target
me-
came in the
even if
70th
you
minute.
even if you tell me it's luck,
know what?
even if you tell me it's luck, because any other day maybe we don't
Acerbi
score
going all the
4
way to the
goals.
top of the
Correct,
scoring
correct.
that goal with
Okay.
Barcelona. Come on.
But what I'm
That was the
saying is
third
we're
goal.
putting ourselves in position to score. We went up 2-0 before that game. In fact, for any other team that you can't keep a 2-0 lead, and this is what I'm bringing up with Inter, this whole season we couldn't keep 2-0 leads. No team goes to the final, and no team wins a Scudetto if you can't keep a 2-0
Yeah,
lead.
they shit the bed.
Marco.
They honestly, they shit the bed. Genuinely, that's the only way to describe what happened, because I don't think it's a lack of skill. It looked like either something happened before the game, something happened in the locker room before the game, or the team physically and mentally died after Napoli won the Scudetto.
That's it. I was about to get to that point.
It has to be something like that, because you can't explain not one player doing well. If it's one guy, if it's Bastoni, if it's Dumfries,
The whole
I can
team.
understand. The fact that it was 11 guys plus a bench that had no response and they started the game like it was a friendly match. To me, that doesn't make sense for a team that put this as their objective. You could lose. I'm not saying because of the loss. I'm saying in the manner in which they lost is
Right.
the issue.
But the thing is, I can't say that because Napoli won the Scudetto that all of a sudden means that they're not able to play in
then
this
what
final.
is it?
Because you really lost the game. When you lost the Scudetto, you lost in Lazio. You couldn't expect that Cagliari was going to
Okay, so
take
for example,
points.
is that the moment?
But that's 2 weeks ago. At that point, you have the time to reason and say, you know what? The Champions League,
So
we
how
have
do we
to
explain
perform.
this? Pete?
I'll explain.
How do we
to you.
explain it?
Pete, listen to me.
How do,
You
let,
guys,
let him go. How do you explain it?
I think tactically, we prepared a different game.
You think it was
Inzaghi-
tactically?
I think so. Obviously, it's what the team was willing to give, the sacrifice, the ability to fight for every ball.
Barella allowing
Okay,
the
to
ball
fight for
to
every
try to
ball.
go out for a corner kick and he doesn't shield it.
Yes.
That's not tactics.
Okay, it's not tactics, but I'm saying at that point it was already 2-0.
It was 1-0.
1-0. Sorry.
1-0 is not bad.
I know, but the mentality, the approach to the game was all wrong. But tactically, we prepared this game to sit back, defend, and counter. Once that option was gone, because ultimately, once you're down 2-0, you're in
It
a
was
state
even
of
from
shock.
the beginning, though. It was from the beginning. From first minute, you could see that Inter was not playing.
But in the beginning, those are nerves. You can allow for the nerves.
How do you have
It
nerves
didn't
when you're
continue.
experienced? When most of this side was in a Champions League final 2 years ago.
All
How do you
right.
have nerves?
Marco,
You
let
gotta
me
have nerves no matter
Babe,
what.
babe, listen, it's the
even
deal.
the best player, when it's a big game, you're gonna feel a little nerves.
Listen.
The first 10, 15 minutes, there's going to be a little bit of thing. The thing is, that's usually where there's the most concentration.
exactly.
And Inter failed in
DiMarco
in
keeping
being able to
everybody.
concentrate.
DiMarco's a player that's always played in big games. What was he doing? What was he doing?
Listen, we're talking about too much. Do not look at the individual player. The whole team was flat, but what you guys are overlooking is the fact that psychologically and the pressure that Inter had to win this game was way too much.
Yeah, could be.
Too much.
Could be.
You're going out on the Coppa Italia, and the triplete that just disappears is starting to fade.
They
Stop.
lost
Let
the
me
Super
finish.
Cup final.
The Super Cup final, and then went out. And then you lose the Campionato. They were about to win the Campionato in the last 2 minutes on the extra time. You gave away the Campionato to Napoli in a golden platter. You were chasing the entire season. All of a sudden, Napoli overtakes you, and then you had the chance to finish up, just to cross the line. Just, hey, right here, just cross the line. You felt, not you personally, but they fell on that. Once that Napoli lifted the trophy, because it was a done deal, the Napoli will have lifted after that game, the misplay game with Lazio. That is when Inter, I think they closed the deal. They
Crumbled.
said that's it. It's just totally crumbled down.
Could be.
And they crumble on their own weight, because the team, if you actually look at it, both the PSG and Inter, they match up pretty much. Inter has got a spectacular midfield. I hate to say that, but they do.
Yeah.
There are 4 or 5 players that I might want to take at AC Milan. They have a spectacular midfield. The goalkeeping, it's very good. It's
Even
not.
Summer, when he had the ball and he just kicks the ball out,
Nothing.
my God, I was like, my jaw was dropped. But also to build on top of what Antonio's saying now, just because I don't want people to think that we're taking any credit away from PSG. Just to clarify, we could talk about PSG is a fantastic team. I think it's a beautiful story. Everything that they've been able to do, they're an incredibly balanced squad, and it shows you the effort that they put into rejuvenating the team, going away from the prima donnas, the superstars of Messi, Neymar, and Mbappe.
Right.
That's not my point. We could get to giving PSG and Luis Enrique a lot of credit. It's just the manner in which Inter lost. Because if you lose and you say PSG is a better team, we could all agree. PSG is probably the best team in Europe. Obviously, they are the best team in Europe. It's just how Inter didn't show up and didn't make it a competitive match. And now, where does Inter go from here? Because it feels like all of a sudden it's like a 180 from praising Inter, saying they get to 2 finals in 3 years, and now we're talking about an aging squad, a squad that could lack a lot of motivation, that has to go play in a Club World Cup, that doesn't know if the coach is going to stay, if Inzaghi's going to stay or not. And I was here fighting you, saying that Inzaghi would stay. And now, 2 days later, I'm saying to myself, how does he stay? Why wouldn't he go to Saudi Arabia? What more is he going to do to this team? How do you feel after that? Because you were already on the boat of Inzaghi's going to take the Saudi offer.
Yeah, I mean, for when we talk about Inzaghi, I think it's just more of a matter of what's going to happen now moving forward, right? We have this additional money. Marotta has said, we can't operate by just going after free transfer players. We need to spend some money. There's already been some money spent between Luis Enrique and Sucic from Croatia. So I think it's going to be based off of one, Inzaghi and what he feels is right as a next step for him personally, and then also the Inter as an organization, if they feel Inzaghi is the right guy to continue working for them, because ultimately Inter had the best squad for 4 years, and you're only able to get one Scudetto and one Coppa Italia. By all means, you cannot take a Super Coppa maybe. So
Big deal.
by all means, you cannot take away from what Inzaghi has been able to do for this Inter team, because this is the first time in a long time that Inter have played in such a dominating style of play.
But do you look back and think it's a little bit bitter that you did have this dominating team and you don't have the trophies to back it up? Yes, it's great to get to 2 Champions League finals, and as you mentioned in the beginning, nobody would have said that. But does it feel like a wasted opportunity? Maybe we praised him a lot for trying to compete in all different competitions, but maybe he should have said, "Hey, let's be realistic with the squad." And what do you want to happen? Because I know you're taking both perspective. Do you think you want Inter to get a new coach? Do you want to get a younger coach, like a Fabregas or somebody like that?
It's
what
not
do you want to
wanted
happen?
to. It's not wanted to.
I want to know what
this
he wants.
This guy's done. He's done. He better clear the locker room, because no matter what he does, they're going to look at him and say, "Oh, again, this guy, he lost this, he lost that, the 3 plate and this and that. Get rid of him."
Do you agree?
I think everybody's looking for him to leave. It's like they're already packing everything, the locker room. This guy is probably gone. He's gone.
Do you agree?
They don't want him.
I think the issue at play here is
It's PR only. It's PR.
What do you mean it's PR?
PR. It's PR. Okay.
I'm telling you.
Public relations. You have to make believe, "Oh, Inzaghi did a good job. This and that."
But no one said
What
that.
you gonna-
I think everyone agreed that we had a great path, but we failed miserably. I think that's ultimately very clear. You can lose 5-0 to the game. It's a PSG. You can lose 2-1. You could lose respectfully, but you can't lose in this manner. I think what it all stems down to is there someone that can really take this Inter team to the next level?
Fabregas, for example.
Fabregas.
If Fabregas was available, would you take him? If you could convince him, would you sack Inzaghi or let Inzaghi go to Saudi Arabia and bring in Cesc Fabregas?
You see, it's not easy. What I like about Fabregas, so this is also was another point that I wanted to bring up. Inzaghi is one-dimensional. He's in his 4 years at Inter,
Always
he
the same
has
scheme.
not been able to change formations.
On the fly,
He
too.
has not been able to, on the fly, change a game plan. Either the game plan works or it doesn't work, or there's individual brilliance that's able to save him. To a certain extent, obviously, because of without that flexibility, we also don't go after certain players because we have no creative players. Besides Zalewski, who by all means is a fantastic player, he's not a top choice for a lot of Serie A teams. He was
going to Galatasaray. He was going to Turkey.
Exactly.
Everyone was giving up on him.
To beat his man on the ball. That's the only guy that can beat his man on the ball. Dumfries, if you look at Dumfries, he's fast. He's able to take his man on. But if he has someone in front of him that's just as fast, he's not getting past him. Thuram, skill-wise, he's not able to beat his man 1v1. He's going to beat him based on his pace, based on his power. Sure, if you want to say who could be the guy, sure, it's him. But ultimately, we have players for a 3-5-2, and we have nobody else that can change. If we need to be able to change a formation, we're not able to do it.
So you want to move on. You want to move on from Inzaghi.
Yes.
No, what I'm bringing up is
I want a yes or a no from you.
Say yes. Don't be
I wanna
afraid.
know what you would
Don't
do.
be afraid. What would you do?
do you
Forget
think the
about that you
squad-
are an Inter
Yeah.
fan and what he did in the
Do you
past.
think the squad needs something new?
I would say yes.
Okay. It's
But
gone.
my problem is that Fabregas doesn't have the experience.
You got to choose.
So you have to make a choice. Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm not the
Palladino.
one making
Palladino
the
is
choice.
available.
But if you were,
I'm
Palladino
saying-
is available.
Listen, Fabregas has had a fantastic run with this Como team. We also cannot forget that this Como team is unlike prior teams that come up from Serie B. They spent a lot of money in January for Neo Promes. They spent a lot of money. I know they played a nice football, and by all means, I think he's a great coach. But we have to consider things. You have to look into things. My biggest thing is with Inzaghi, can he take this team to the next level? And I think that's been a question mark for a while now. He's been able to reach the Champions League final. And again, it's hard. You can't expect to win the Champions League. Maybe the fact that PSG, maybe they were underestimated a bit. Not by Inter as a team, but I'm saying in general. Everyone said, it's a 50-50
They almost went out of the league phase.
Maybe, as Antonio said, you lost everything else. The pressure is you have to win this game. Maybe it's because people really looked at it 50-50. Inter looked as if they were supposed to win, and that added pressure.
For the pressure.
So
let me just say,
mix
this
of
is what I
these
saw.
factors.
This is what I saw. Pete.
My point is, Inzaghi, is he a man manager? Is he able to get the most out of the players, or is it focused on just style of play?
I'll answer to that
Got it.
question. I will answer to that. This is the way I see the game. It's very simple. It's a game. 11 v 11. You are on the field. When I started to look at the game, sitting next to this guy here, I started to see, I couldn't even recognize the player for the position that they played, PSG. I said, oh my God, Hakimi. No, Hakimi is right there. Hakimi was going from left to right. Kvaratskhelia was coming in. Dembele was changing. Duet was changing. Then the other guy that came in, everybody were playing the position. That is not the position. Barcola comes in. I said to myself, Luis Enrique prepared the team in a way that he gave no references to Inter. And you know what they
100%.
did? And you know what they did? The PSG, they shut down Chala and they shut down Barella. They shut them all down. They shut them down. They totally wiped them from the field. So, once you do that, you know that Inter games, from the build-up starts with Chala on the backside, and then everybody, Barella and all the rest, and then you put the ball into middle for Lautaro, and this guy here, Thuram. What Thuram? This guy's got nothing.
He didn't do anything.
Let me just say something to you guys. Inzaghi is been picked like a chicken. He's been picked up and dissect. Everybody knows the game that they play is exactly the same game that he's been playing for 3 years. He was not capable to change while the game was going on. You haven't made anything. I don't know. Instead of the 3-5-2, go to 4-4-2. Just do something else. They were all over the place. Kvaratskhelia. Oh my God. I said, left, right, in the middle, take his shot, 1-2. Everybody was getting into the box like nothing.
But also the way that he...
They were the defender.
But
Anto, also the way that he sacrificed himself, Kvara, just to talk about Kvara. In the 87th minute, Kvara was running... I think the game was 3 or 4-0 at the moment.
And they were running.
He was running like they were losing the match.
But my point is, we were outclassed. Physically. Mentally, physically.
I see mentally only. You had plenty of time to prepare the game.
It was all of it, though.
You just referenced Enrique and what he did.
Yes.
It's not that he told them, hey, guys, do what you want to do. That's a tactical instruction.
Unbelievable.
To be free to play. So my point is, tactically, Inzaghi did not get it right. And I know it's much more than that because you have to show the grinta, you have to show the grit and everything else. But this team is meant to play in a certain way, Inter. Once tactically, Luis Enrique, did you see how Dembele was pressing Sommer? Sommer didn't get a chance to move the ball. So tactically, this game was desperate for an adjustment. And Inzaghi was not able to make that adjustment. The players were not able to make that adjustment. Like, even to the point is, okay, you see that you're not able to get that ball out of the back. Just one time, put everybody up. Be in position, old school way.
Well said.
Hit the ball long, and try to win the second ball. That just to change that, just to check. You have to check the other team.
If you were to blindside me, and he said, hey Antonio, you're blindsided. That is the TV blindfolded. Whatever. You know what I mean, right? I'm an ESL.
Make sure
okay, all right, so guys, you understand what I mean, right? If
point?
you blindfold me, and you put me in front of the screen, and you telling me when Inter starts the build up from the back, I know exactly without even opening my eyes where every Inter player, and it's the same position all the time. You gotta do something.
No, Anto,
I'm telling you, this is Inzaghi. I will say, I will take 50% of the blame. I would give it to him because he did not prepare the game in the right way. But you as a player, I mean, the entire team coming out flat. I saw the expression on the face.
I agree with this.
I saw the expression on the face, Pete. When you coming out of the locker room, you're supposed to see the guys just, ready. I didn't see them.
Yep.
I didn't see the anger. They were not angry for the game. They were, my God. I said to myself, look at this. It's like,
but even after the game,
a training session?
Even after the game, a lot of the comments I didn't like. I didn't
Which
like
ones?
the comments.
I think Dumfries was the one that said the best stuff. He apologized for what happened.
Yeah.
Which are the comments that you didn't like?
Oh, I think Barella came on the mic.
Yeah, I didn't want to say
What did he
some
say?
bad words or things like that. Yeah,
He said we lacked heart.
Yeah,
He said we lacked heart. They wanted it more than us.
Yeah, I don't like that. I'm sorry. I don't like when I hear that they wanted something more than you. You have to. like Antonio said, you have to be foaming at the mouth.
That's
just
right, man.
crazy.
Are you kidding me?
Like
Crazy.
certain comments like that, I really don't like. Then at that point,
kidding me?
you can't make that comment after the 90th minute. You know what? You went down 2-0 at half.
You have the fight.
At halftime,
Yeah.
you have to be ready to kill.
Pete, what did
I agree.
Inzaghi
Be
say on
ready
the
to
locker room?
think.
What did Inzaghi say on the
I don't
locker
know
room
what he
after
said,
the first half, man?
But the point is, you by that was for me. It's as if you're saying, listen, I have Goliath in front of me, and I'm David. I'll never have a chance versus Goliath. David and Goliath. The story is the little guy was able to
Peter,
kill the
we're not
monster.
talking about David and Goliath.
they-
There's no excuse for
and they-
that.
But my
and they
point-
proved that.
but
though.
my-
Those two teams are just pretty much comparable. They were just, for me, before the game started.
No,
I have to be honest with
Anto.
you. I gave Inter
Anto,
not 50%, but at least 40% chance.
I know everybody's talking about PSG and
Yeah.
they went all young and they okay, maybe they didn't spend 100 million for Mbappe, but the kid Doué 50 million. The kid in the back pocket
don't
40
go there.
million.
Don't go there.
40
Hold on.
million.
How many
Don't go
teams?
there.
How many
Don't
teams?
go there.
One second.
Don't
The
go
price
there.
tag's
Don't
a
start
little
to
bit
put the
different.
money tags on the player.
It's
Don't go
different.
there.
It makes it
Don't
a
go
lot
there.
easier.
No,
How many
no,
teams-
no.
how many
Kvaratskhelia, how
They
much?
did
75
well with the
million.
Barcelona. Don't go there,
75
please.
million.
How
Don't
many,
go
how many
there.
teams in the world can spend 80 million in January?
Yeah.
There's maybe two
So-
or three teams in the
No,
world.
that's not an excuse.
But
No, it's not an excuse.
It's not an
I'm
excuse,
just saying,
but it's also the
you
reality
look at
of
that.
they have $1 billion.
In France, the league was done for 2 months.
Doesn't matter.
They won by 20 points.
Doesn't matter.
They have 18 teams. They played 34 games. It's a big
That's
difference.
the one funny thing
There's
about
a
this
big
narrative.
difference.
I agree.
I don't-
The way PSG played, it's beautiful, but it's also nice when you have $1 billion behind you and you could go out and buy Neymar, Messi, Mbappe. It doesn't work? Okay, no problem. We're going to just pick up and do something else. Luis Enrique also has incredible players on his side everywhere that he is.
Vitinha.
This is not
listen to
some
me.
little underdog story that they
Yeah,
built up
no,
by
yeah.
building up all the youth.
Hello.
They paid. It's
Hello.
great. They made the right decisions. They got younger. They got more French. That's great. But at the same time, you also got to take into context, this team has been waiting to win this competition for a long, long time.
Both of you, you get into a stage that you have to find all the time an excuse for something that went terribly wrong, and it was the plan the wrong way. And I'll tell you why. Let me talk, please.
Why do you keep doing this, Tim?
I don't know.
Why do you keep doing this? What's your name? What's your last name?
A cinque palmi. Anyway, listen to me, guys. Here's the deal. You guys cannot put a price tag on the fact that the PSG has got this.
You
this,
actually
and this.
can put a price tag.
Relax.
You can.
Let me do the list for you.
Lukaku came in on the bench from PSG.
On Inter Milan, the way it's built right now, 90% of players are national team players of the some of the best team in the world, not just in Italy or in Europe. Lautaro, I'm not gonna make the list for
Alright,
you.
we know the.
Oh
we know
no,
the
I'm
name.
gonna make
We
it for
know
you
the
because
name.
you're trying to find an excuse that the PSG they can spend 50 million for Doué.
No,
you got
my point-
Lautaro, you got Thuram, you
about the
got
bench?
Bastoni,
What about the
you got
bench?
Di Marco, you got Frattesi sitting on the bench, a starting player for the national team. You sitting on the bench, okay? You got so many players, Bastoni. You got the national team player of the entire world, and you're telling me
How
that
many
the
World Cups
matchup.
have Italy made in the past
Relax. And you're telling me that the matchup with the PSG player was kind of skewed
But
toward to the
but,
PSG.
Anto, look at the
Don't
bench.
give me that.
Barcola comes in off the bench. Inter have Aslani coming in off the bench.
Don't give me that.
So we
Don't
can't,
give
we
me
can't
that.
compare.
Please.
It's not an
Don't give
excuse.
me. You lost.
It's
You
to
lost
sh-
very
it's to
poorly.
But we
show
said
proof.
everything. We talked
I
about this
said
for 20
the narrative
minutes.
for PSG is that they got rid of all the superstars and they
Yeah.
were able to win with a young team. It's a young team, yes. But Donnarumma, how much money are they paying Donnarumma? Donnarumma has experience, huh? He's not young that he's fresh out of the
He only did
Primavera.
one save.
But to get them to
No,
this
but
point.
to get to that point.
my point is, yes, it's a young team, and yes, it was built unbelievably. But there was also money spent. Money spent that Inter in the past 4 years have not been able to spend.
Because
You have
had to
1/3
lose
of their wage
Hakimi,
bill.
the first goal scorer, we had to sell him. He did great for Inter. We had to sell him because we were forced to sell him. So
we had to
a
sell
lot of-
Tonali. Don't find that as an excuse.
But that's
That
where
is
is
not
Milan?
an
But where is
excuse.
Milan?
Listen
But
to
where
me.
is Milan?
That's where the skill
That's
of the,
my point I'm making. That
That's-
the Italian teams, to be able to reach the final is one thing. The point is you have to go there as if you're the underdog and as if you're willing to
Let me refresh
spill
your
blood.
memory, Paisa. Let me refresh your memory. AC Milan, when they play Barcelona, I'm telling you,
When?
Gullit, Van Basten, all the stuff.
Yeah, when they had the superstars.
Relax. We were the underdog by far. We were supposed to be cremated when we went to play them. Guess what? We won with Massaro, with Gullit. Those were all players that nobody gave us a chance. We destroyed them. We had Savicevic on the other final that we won. Massaro was the other one. We won being the underdog, but not by little. We squeezed them like
The fact that Milan was, I didn't remember, I wasn't born, but the fact that Milan was underdog with Van Basten is
Van Basten. Are you kidding me?
Either way, you need something crazy. You need something incredible to be able to win.
No,
and
Marco.
Inter needed that because
Marco.
we've said it before. Out of all the Champions League teams, you were 14th in revenue. So even to get to this point is great. But again, it's not making an excuse because there's no excuse to lose 5-0. There's no excuse in the world to lose 5-0.
Stop putting the money price all the time on
You have to.
everything
You have
that
to say the
happens.
truth.
No, you
You
don't.
have to say the truth.
Listen to me. Do you respect Saki as a coach?
Of course.
Okay. Do you know who Saki is? Right. Okay. You respect him, yes or no?
course,
Okay.
yes.
When Arrigo Saki is telling you that the game is being played at emotional level 90% of the time. If you're emotional, you're not there. If you're not physically prepared, not physically in terms of,
You're right. You're right about this.
you lose the game right here.
correct.
We
Okay?
agree. We
You
agree.
cannot stop. You know what? I used to coach the Brooklyn Italian.
So you're Arrigo Sacchi.
Over 50.
I'm going to bring over 50.
I heard you got kicked out as a
I'm
coach.
going to bring it up, okay?
over 50
I'm going to bring it up. From time to time, we used to face teams, big guys here and there. You know, a couple people, before we even started the game on the sideline, I said, oh my God, today, I said, hey, listen, today what? I said, today we're going to win, okay? I said, why? Because they're bigger than you. I said, bigger is not better, okay? I even tell my son a few times.
You tell him bigger's not better?
Yeah, I said, I remind my son, I'll tell him, ask my son when you see him. I said, hey, Dad, I said, Steve Nash won 2 times the MVP, NBA MVP, being one of the smallest guys
Hey,
on the MVP.
but they just played in basketball. Your son and Ryan won, and he's bigger.
Ryan won? All right. But listen, we'll talk about that later. What I'm trying to tell you, you just leave this kind of a fear out. When you play in the final, you're supposed to be spitting blood. I said, oh my God, I'm going to kill him. You just go over there and you make things happen. If you drop dead and you go out of the team and say, hey, you know what? They beat us fair and square. That's tip your hat and say they were better than us. But when you're not playing, that's what you make everybody. When you're not playing, you go over there and you have millions of people, including AC Milan fans and Inter haters. I was shocked. I was expecting a close game. I said, oh man, this can go over. I swear to God, I said to myself, this can go on overtime. But when I started to see the game, 20 minutes, sitting next to this guy here, oh boy, the jaw started to drop.
We found the next coach. You find your next coach. Forget about Inzaghi.
You need somebody that is going to just fire you up. Inzaghi, yes, on the sideline, like, what the hell are you doing? You're supposed to be prepared the game and the player before, not during the game. Once the game started, things are over there. You're not supposed to be jumping up and down. Luis Enrique, I don't see him going up and down on the sideline. They already knew what they were doing.
Does that.
I know, but the basic is supposed to be there. Inter's game was dissected by in Italy. They've been dissected and they picked them up already in Italy. What things? Luis Enrique is smart.
No,
okay, it's not extremely smart. He did nothing. He did nothing way out of the extraordinary. He just look at the game and said, guys, this is what they do. They build up from the back. Shut this guy here down. Shut that guy down. The game is over. And that's what happened. End of the story.
But the reality is,
Give me 5.
this is the only game.
Give me 5, please.
Well, hold on one second. And in reality, this is the only game that Inter struggled to create. Because for all the faults of Inter, I think this game obviously highlights the fact that defensively, Inter were poor this year. And you saw it throughout the season. So
But not in Champions League.
Yeah, but in Champions League, it's a group stage. I think they played in certain ways. Early on also, there was a lot of things, I think. Because up until the end, versus Bayern, we gave up goals. Versus Barcelona, we gave up goals.
A lot of goals.
It wasn't, we can't talk about...
You played Arsenal. Arsenal was a Champions League semifinal.
Yeah, but how many chances did they have?
Yeah,
Let's watch that game. Let's watch the game. There was a lot of things that happened.
Man City. There was a lot of games where you were good defensively.
The first game.
Still.
Yeah, but you can't compare what happens in September to what happens now in May.
But you said all year
or
long we
else
haven't been
PSG
good defensively.
But we haven't. Look
in
at
Champions League, you were.
Okay, in Champions League, but look in Serie A.
Yeah,
so
in Serie A, no.
that shows that there's a lack of concentration.
That's the biggest thing.
Because if you want to be a champion, you have to be ready to go. You are ready every game, no matter who you have in front of you. You have to make sure that you show your dominance, you show your level. But Inter, you say, oh, Luis Enrique figured them out. He's the only guy that figured them out. Because Inter, at the very least, even if they win, lose, draw, they create. They're able to play the
With
game.
Barcelona, you guys
They're
did
able to
extremely
play the
well.
game.
I was
So
surprised.
That's the scary thing at this game. It's like the approach to the game, the mentality.
That's right.
The only
And
fear.
tactically, it's
That's
like,
what I'm
how the hell-
saying.
they were
90%
afraid-
is all what you
they
have
were-
over here.
They were so afraid of the fact that PSG had all this speed on their team that even when it came to challenge for the ball, because even at times when we were losing 2-0, nobody stepping to the man. Vitinha did what he did. We're talking about Vitinha. I love Vitinha. And I've said it even in the past.
You
This
talk
kid
about
is
being
unbelievable.
small. You talk about being big, not being
but
important. You see how small he is?
But look at Inter's midfield.
Guy's incredible.
It's not about the size. It's about IQ. It's about style of play. It's about the grit. It's about a lot of things, right? And PSG outclassed us in every aspect, in everything. Every single phase of the game was outclassed.
The only chances that Inter had were from
piece.
set piece. That's it. The only two times that I had a little bit of fear is when Thuram had the header, Acerbi had the header. To put a bow on this conversation, where does Inter go from here? Because I've seen a lot of Inter fans saying there's a couple that we need to keep. There's a couple core guys that we need to build around, and the rest of the squad, if they go or if they stay, I'm not upset about it. I would put Bastoni in that category of the guys that really showed how important they are. Dumfries is another one. But what areas do you think need to be rejuvenated?
I think, not to say that this, because I think there's still a couple of years left of the cycle because you have a core group of guys. You do have a core group of guys. But there's going to be certain decisions that have to be made.
Such as?
Çalhanoğlu.
Gone.
This year,
Not good.
he wasn't able to perform what we're used to. He has a certain age now, and he might still have suitors. Might. So if that offer comes in for 30 million, do you sell him? Then at that point, we need a regista because Asllani ain't cutting it. He's gone.
What do you do with that?
Okay, so you have to be strong and decisive in going after him because Milan wants him. A lot of teams are going to go
Mickey's
after him.
another one.
Mkhitaryan, unfortunately, this game,
it's done.
He was out of it, and he's 37. Like, how much
time.
more can this guy
It's
do?
time.
So at that point, if he's willing to be a bench player, by all means, great. But ultimately, you need that change. Fratesi. Is Fratesi staying? Is he
I will
going?
take him at AC Milan.
Is it depending on
will take
Inzaghi staying? Because if
I was
Inzaghi stays,
Fratesi,
Go.
I will go to Napoli next year and I would celebrate in front of
Come to
Inzaghi's
AC Milan.
face.
Come to AC
But
Milan.
so that's one thing.
You got to
Now-
sell him for 35, 40 million.
No, you have
Who has-
Acerbi. You understand
Can I-
what?
can I
De
talk?
Vrij. Go ahead.
So then we go into Dumfries, who probably has the most market on this Inter team besides Bastoni, right? As far as guys
Ooh,
that will
you'd sell
go.
him?
Heh. So now it's a conversation. Do you sell a Dumfries and go after another player?
I wouldn't
So
do
that's
that.
one thing. Okay. Then you have Acerbi, as Antonio mentioned, old, ready
It's time.
to go. So you need that center back. We don't have the true center back because De Vrij also is of a certain age.
You need to invest. You didn't
So-
get Buongiorno last year. You need to get a really good, like a Bukama, for example, would be Solé.
Bisek, do you
Yeah,
do you
Bistek,
keep him?
Bistek,
If he has a really good offer, maybe you sell him. Pavard has been really, really bad this
Bad.
year. Really bad this year.
Bad.
But you made an investment in him, so he's going to stay, most likely. Lautaro Thuram.
You need a new goalkeeper
Lautaro
too.
Thuram, you're keeping.
You have a backup. You have
we're
Martinez,
okay.
too.
We need that third striker. I think
Yeah.
if this year is
You
very,
got Taremi.
evident,
You
it's
got
very
Taremi.
evident that
It's the
we
time.
need a third striker. And can it be this Capillo? I think this summer is going to give us a good opportunity to play the kid.
Who?
The kid,
Oh, Pio Esposito.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, hey, put him in. But this kid, if you watch him in Serie B, he's doing really well. Maybe this summer we can see what he has, if he has anything, and you loan him out.
But
in
you
Serie
still
A.
need somebody.
But you need that guy because Correa's gone at the end of his contract.
Arnautovic is gone.
Taremi is not cutting it. Arnautovic is gone. So there's going to be a lot of changes
Big
in this
rotation.
team. And
How do they deal with that next year, too?
Exactly.
From this high. And now you also don't even have you really don't even have a summer to prepare because you're going to be at the Club World Cup. What is Inter going to look like next year? Because for the last 4 years, it's been on paper. This is not up for discussion. They've been the favorite, right? Odds-wise. They have been the favorite. That's just a fact. going into next year, it might be the first time in 5 years that they're not the favorite going into the season.
Favorite, but we're lucky because a lot of teams are in disarray.
Not Napoli.
Napoli, no. Napoli is the only team with Conte staying. They are the favorites now. But they also play now in 3 competitions.
But now you also have a Milan that I think is starting to make right decisions that I would not put them outside of getting into a top 4.
The only reason why, because they have no Europe.
Yeah,
if they had Europe, they would be outside.
But it doesn't matter. We're talking about the facts. The facts is they have nothing to play. They have no other competition to play for. And for me, Milan will be in a top 4 position.
But I still think, yes, they will.
So now we're talking about 2nd or 3rd place.
But there's still this. What I'm saying is, it's not like Inter now. They don't have any players. We'll be okay. We got to make some rotations.
How do they find the motivation to get back now? Like,
listen, I think
sometimes it's the end of a cycle that you start seeing the drop off.
If you lose in the manner they lost, you still have the hunger.
It's different than when you lost. When you lost the final against Manchester City, I came away from that match saying, "Wow, Inter is going to be improving from this moment." After this one, it's like the balloon got popped for me.
Pete, let me just say something.
You don't agree?
Hold on.
He doesn't agree?
I don't agree. I don't agree.
Why not?
Let me just say, go ahead.
I don't agree because you know I think this team and the level of players that Antonio brings up. You have Lautaro, you have Barella, you have Bastoni. These guys.
World class.
If they want to be etched in history, they know that they have to go for.
It's not enough to just have that.
Go for a Champions League. No, it's not enough to just have that. But I'm saying we have a core group of guys. Let's not throw everything away. What I'm saying is there's decisions to be made. But if you wanted to, Çalhanoğlu's very much of an age to keep him. Dumfries, you keep him. There's a lot of decisions that you make. So ultimately, in a starting 11, you have to maybe change 2 players. 2 positions.
I have doubts.
So I have doubts, man. It's not a crazy thing. 2 positions you change.
I have doubts.
No, Pete, let me just say something.
What do you think about what I said? That after the 2023 final or whatever it was against Man City, I felt like, okay, Inter could build from here. Now I'm having more doubts than I have in a long time.
Inter, to me, it's a team that doesn't need to be dismantled, but it needs to be readjusted from let's say, 60% of the team.
And will the club do that? Will they make the investment to be able to do it?
They got the money.
It's the first summer that you are able to not have to sell.
Listen, one thing I can just say it. You know how much I love Inter. So you are now on the position to just look back. This guy and you included the beginning of the year. Oh, who's the favorite? Who's the favorite? Okay, Inter is the favorite, and then okay, Juventus. Okay, fine. You guys fell miserably. The triplete, instead of you guys going after the triplete, you saw PSG winning the triplete. Okay, they did, right?
4.
4? Oh, 4 plate. Even better.
PSG won 4, right?
Let's forget about all of those 3, 2, 5, whatever. We won this, we won that. You guys, you put too much into the plate and you cannot even chew it. When you have too much, you cannot chew it. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you, I don't cook. And I don't clean.
What do? You eat.
But when I eat something, I know when something is done the right way or when something is spoiled.
You're a critic.
No, I'm not a critic, but I know the basics of what the food should taste like. If you put an ingredient into let's say the mussel. My son is very good at making soup mussel. He's very good. White marinara and red marinara. If one mussel is spoiled, the whole goddamn marinara gets spoiled. What I'm trying to bring up is this, Pete. There is somebody over there on Inter right now that does not belong. Should be totally eliminated from the organization. I would say Inzaghi is there. Inzaghi, for me, is the ingredient that has spoiled the mussel soup, the soup of mussel, because it's one-dimensional coach and it does not have the courage, because I'm sure he understands the game. He does not have the courage to change or to try something new. So you have to start from the chef, the cook. Who's putting the ingredients together? That's him. So if you keep him over there, nobody what you do. You can have the best ingredients over there. It's going to screw it all up.
And I think he's going to go. I think now it's making a lot of sense.
You gotta
for him to
get
go to,
this guy out of
Use
there.
your food reference, right?
Okay.
If you want to create a great dish, right, and you want to change something up,
Yeah.
you need ingredients in the cupboard. To
Absolutely.
be able to change things up.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, also,
true.
although I am a critic of the fact that he's not flexible in his 3-5-2, Who do you put in that game that you're going to say he definitely changed that game? Or even in a season, who do you put? If you wanted to add another strike, Taremi, Correa, Arnautovic, these guys don't do anything to fix the team. Fratesi, if we doesn't get
he
the ball,
runs in behind.
Okay,
he can make those runs.
But it's ultimately
that's the one argument that I would have. I agree with you.
Fine.
I agree with you. But that was the one where I said, okay, maybe you're not used to putting Fratesi in this early. Maybe you're not used to the plug and play. I get that.
Yeah.
But this was the time. This was the one time to do it. Anyway.
Yes.
Last thing about PSG. We know the Ballon d'Or is between Lamine Yamal is going to be up for it. Rafinha, Dembele. Should Gigio Donnarumma be in the conversation for Ballon d'Or?
Not for the final, because he didn't do much.
But it's the full season.
Yes.
He got them to this point,
yes.
Donnarumma.
Yes.
It could be in discussion. Ultimately, we know chances are it doesn't happen for a goalkeeper.
Yamal is too young.
But what else?
I wouldn't give it to him.
What else does Donnarumma really have to do? I think without him, I'm not sure PSG would have made it through the game against Liverpool, obviously. Even the game against Arsenal, he made some ridiculous saves. I get that goalkeepers are always looked down upon. It's almost impossible for a goalkeeper to win a Ballon d'Or. But if there was ever an argument to be had, it could be for him.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think
Is he the best
important.
goalkeeper in the world right now?
Yes, by far. Not by little. By far.
Yes.
And he's such a difference maker. Like if that game would have went to penalty kicks,
Oh.
it's like starting 1 goal ahead in a match.
Maybe
Because
two goals. Maybe 2 goals ahead.
You know he's going to save at least 2 penalties. Guaranteed.
Yep. So-
And then whatever he does beyond that, I like seeing he had a tough time with Milan. Everything that happened, you guys the Milan fans did not treat Donnarumma in a very nice way when he came to play for Italy. The Donnarumma.
Well, the Milan fan, you have to understand that the Milan fan, they made Donnarumma who he is right now.
He made it himself.
No, relax. He was playing with the youths. Then it was Mihailovic brought him into the first squad, and he had the balls to say, hey, this kid here belongs on the first squad. He's not looking at what the people they're going to say, or the newspaper, or Marco Messina is going to say over there on CBS Sports. He doesn't give a crap. So
I've always
talked
well about him. You haven't. You said that Magnan was better than Donnarumma, and you said Milan did a good job not keeping him. Do you agree with that now or no?
I did say that.
You remember. He
I
was
don't remember
he was the
that.
number one talking bad about Donnarumma.
So-
It's easy to say now when Donnarumma does amazing. Oh, yeah, he's the best. But the guy has always been solid for a long time, and he always comes up in the big moments. In the big moments, Donnarumma is a guarantee.
What about I have a soft spot for Donnarumma.
Yeah, you were talking so
I
bad.
have
You
a
said,
soft-
we did great. We got Magnan instead.
Bottom line is this, Pete. You guys just strip yourself from the uniform and the Inter and the doppia stella and all the stuff and started to say, hey, this is the team. And I said, what do we need? Because you can sometimes the emotion and the fact that you've been a fan for a long time, it can be a counterproductive ingredient to put into the muscle soup. You just have to step away from the kitchen and go to the living room and say, oh my God, you know what? That plate can look much better if we do this instead of that. We've been trying to do this for a long time, and it tastes the same. Let's try something new.
If you look, there's always been a lot of praise for Inzaghi and the style of play and everything else. I think it's a reflective point right now, and I think there's no one better than Morata. Right? Marotta, scusa.
Marotti. Vira Moretti.
Pete, so shy.
It's all right. It's understandable.
Pete, we understand that. We understand.
I took 5 hits yesterday. It's not easy. Sorry, Pete.
Boom, man. Did they switch jaw at least once in a while?
For Marotta to make a decision on how to move this team forward. I understand you might say that you think the cycle is done, but I still think that the main guys that are there are still there, and they're still of a good age to produce. There'll be decisions to be made, and yes, we can look at this as a failure. The same way when you start riding a bike, the first day you fall, it's a failure, but that doesn't mean that you can't get up and try again.
Let me dispute
But
that.
let's see who's going to be there.
Marco, let
be
me
the one to take
dispute
over.
that. Let me dispute what you just said.
All right, and then we're ended.
And we ended.
I have to rebuttal.
No,
You have
oh
the
my
rebuttal.
God, you too. Oh.
My friend Cassano, okay?
Oh, boy,
you
this is
were
not
over
gonna
there.
end.
You were over there when we discussed this stuff here. According to Cassano, and I happen to agree with him, not because
Surprise.
Cassano. He said that Marotta does not understand crap about soccer. It's auxilio. So take Marotta out of the equation, Okay, Marotta in soccer, he gets his seat over there, prime seat. He gets his prime seat over there in San Siro. The camera goes on him, and he has to look nice and sharp. Very interesting.
Yeah, I agree. He doesn't do anything.
And then right next to Zanetti,
he doesn't do nothing.
Then right next to Zanetti, they high five themselves. High five themselves. Hey, five. Like high five themselves when the Inter scores and things like that.
No.
Marotta is not Marotta.
Just agree. Marotta doesn't do anything. He's never done anything.
It's Ausilio. Okay, so put
No
the blame
matter
on
what, you're gonna
Ausilio.
always
And this is
need-
not because
you're gonna
Cassano
always
said
need-
anything. It's not because Cassano said it.
No, because
It's
I
you
happen
believe
to
it.
agree.
You happen to agree.
I happen to
You
agree.
happen to agree.
Sporting decisions, whatnot. There's always going to be a team behind that. Ultimately, when I talk about Marotta,
This guy's gonna run for president one day. This guy knows how to answer any
He has an
question.
excuse on his sleeve. Look how many excuses they're coming out. Yeah, he's got always an excuse on his sleeves. Right. go ahead.
Marotta is a leader. He
Yeah.
knows how to at least organize this team and at least set the team up for success.
All right.
Sporting or not sporting, he is a great dirigente.
Okay, Pete.
Guys,
the
thank you
podcast
for
is
watching.
over. Can you give me 5 at least? Just give me
give you a
5, Pete.
handshake.
No, 5. Give me 5, Pete.
Oh, you're fine.
All right.
Thank you for watching. We'll talk to you soon. Ciao, ragazzi.